what's that poster at Nurse Gladys Emmanuel in window with the words "Go inside to see me massive baps" written beneath it?
That anvil is what's known as a lure to entice flaming customers in to buy these steel-bound cakes or whatever the stuff.
Well, I don't reckon Nurse Gladys Emmanuel's none too pleased. She's stomping across the road right now with her face like a bulldog licking vinegar off its bollocks.
What's your game, Arthur, you gobbler's great pudding? You can take that monstrosity down right now. You're not having me massive knockers on display.
Now calm down, my love. I meant no harm, mate. Oh, for fucking door.
Sorry, wrong tape. Bear with. Yeah, there we go.
The story is so far. As the Great War raged across the galaxy in a desperate attempt to restore peace, Lawrence and Polly decided to take matters into their own hands. Unfortunately, after tampering too much with history, the temporal sphere in which the universe was contained was irrevocably torn, spewing past, present and future from the gaping wound into one incomprehensible Shakespearean mess. Unable to fix it themselves, our heroes set about tracking down the fictional Jewish/Christian god to ask for his help, which was why the last time we encountered them, they just arrived at Heaven's Gates with a look of grim determination on their chubby faces. Of course, if you'd actually bothered to listen to the previous episodes, you'd already know this.
It's all rather cliche, isn't it? I mean, seriously. Wartime Gate, St. Peter in his pulpit hiding behind his St. Wiccan beard, consulting a massive visitors book. I wonder what that railway signal box lever sticking out of the cloud next to him is for.
Dunno. I suspect we'll find out shortly.
Name?
Pete Waterman, angling trips and gospel lessons, £5 an hour, according to your name tag.
Your name, Bellend?
That'll be Lawrence Pendlebury. This is my faithful assistant, Polly Jenkins. Well, when I say faithful, I've seen more stalwart Blairites talking to the gutter press at a Jerry Corbyn rally, to be honest, but I'm not as fast as she is, which comes in handy when you're being chased by the glug splatter beast of Alpha Centauri, so swings and roundabouts.
It says here you've had gender realignment surgery.
Nah, she just hasn't shaved. Oh, me you mean? Well, I did regenerate from a woman, and I use that term loosely in Series 1, but it was hardly major surgery. More of a narrative trick worked into the script because Juliet Gregson found a loophole in a contract to get out of any further recordings.
Whatever the case, you're off to hell. God can't stand shirt-lifters. He's big on turning the other cheek and all that, just not of the buttock variety.
I'm hardly a brown eye, mate. I've always considered myself to be more of a lesbian trapped inside a man's body, truth be known.
Ah, right, off to hell. That would explain the aforementioned lever. Presumably there's a trapdoor leading to the underworld beneath your boots via a bookcase-lined rabbit burrow with fire motifs and susurration of distant
The
screams.
mighty Adam here is going with urinal. God hates women even more than cross-dressing benders. It was original sin what done it. He's got a right old grudge against scrumpers. Only burly, subservient men are allowed to sit on his right hand. And Catholic pedophiles, of
Have
course.
you ever considered the possibility that he might be harbouring repressed homosexual tendencies, manifesting themselves in overcompensation? At least that'd explain why he created Adam first, why his priests all wear dresses, and why they're constantly required to thrust their tongues up his holy arse.
Shut your blasphemous cackle. It's time for you to kiss your own fat ass goodnight, naughty older. Oh, wait, I forgot she's going with you, isn't she?
Hold on, we're not even there.
The Lawrence Pendlebury Adventures by Brian Hughes. Episode 5, We Plough the Fields and Scatter.
When they restore Pendlebury, she resembled Adam's berry. She transformed into a man. Now she's as macho as he can be, but he secretly wears panties. Transgender Lawrence Pendlebury.
As mentioned, in a roundabout manner in the previous episode, all of the greatest historical and mythical entities come in diametrically opposed pairs, such as Santa and the Krampus, Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, Ian and Jeanette Cranky. In the Judeo-Christian belief system, the benevolent figurehead of Jehovah is offset by his infinitely more entertaining sidekick Satan, variously known as Lucifer, the Devil, and Boris Johnson, although exactly which is the good guy and which is the bad appears to be a matter of political preferences.
Cheers for cushioning me fall, Polly, me old industrial strength diaphragm. We appear to have landed in some sort of cheesy 70s office. Is that the Dark Lord sitting behind his desk?
It's difficult to tell. My nose is wedged up your
By
arse.
the breeches of Lord Rees-Mogg. Visitors? It's been such a long time. The boss upstairs accepts any old sinners nowadays. Apart from Jehovah's Witnesses, of course, nobody can stand those self-righteous buggers. The name's Barry Lionel Zachariah Bubb, incidentally. You can call me BLZ for short. I know that's the American pronunciation of Z, but we're short on jokes this week since the writer lost his Bob Monkhouse compendium.
Right, so this is hell, is it? I always imagined there'd be a few more tortured souls and pitchforks and stuff, although the David Hasselhoff poster's rather disturbing.
This is just the admin block. In many respects, it's considerably worse. Hell's down there, where that crowd of zombified Facebook users are designing memes about how wacky and individual they are.
The soulless masses. Wasn't it Sartre who once said, hell is other people?
I thought it was Terry Waite.
Bear with me a moment while I check my ledger. Ah yes, Pendlebury. Lawrence/Terence. Sorry, spoilers. We haven't actually reached that episode yet. Eternal damnation for infringements of temporal law, including polluting the timeline during the 60s by the introduction of and alleged inventors' rights to the PlayStation 3, then gazumping numerous software companies such as EA Sports, Nintendo, and iPad.
Yeah, we desperately needed the funding. Clockwork Coconut Productions are more tight-fisted than in Duncan Smith during a sexual encounter with Anne Widdecombe. It was quite an inventive plot idea, really, just not sustainable over an entire episode.
Help yourself to a number from the skull-shaped ticket dispenser behind you, then follow the cobbled track with all the others down to the sticks.
We're off to not end then.
Hold on, I haven't actually done anything wrong.
Sorry to interrupt your paperwork, B. Jamie Horn, old devil, but could I just use your bog before we set off? I've got paperwork of my own to attend to, and I don't intend to be coaxing the turtle's head back inside for the rest of eternity.
No, sorry. This is damnation without relief.
Much like the rest of the script, then.
According to the Bible, the road to heaven is strewn with many obstacles. That's because God, much like the Wire Borough Council who mistakenly believe they're God as it happens, can't be bothered prosecuting persistent fly tippers. The road to hell, on the other hand, is metaphorically paved with good intentions. Although this clearly wasn't the case as far as Lawrence and Polly were concerned, the narrow lane that they were currently treading being paved with those loaf-shaped cobbles you find all over Fleetwood. Appropriate enough as the rest of hell resembled the Lancashire harbour town too.
What was that? I thought the cardboard set designed to resemble an old mining tunnel courtesy of Clockwork Coconut Productions' non-existent budget was falling down for
It looked like the twatter with Inspector Bullbuster hanging underneath it from a wooden homeopathist dick. Obviously the writer is trying to establish some sort of continuity between the various spin-off series. I can't think of any other reason why the bastard's stolen the act.
Aha! The fabled River Styx. Looks more like an elaborate Russian sewer to me. One of those hidden architectural gems that crop up on BBC 4 programmes from time to time and make for excellent if not obscure references designed to prune down our already non-existent listenership. How are we supposed to get across without getting our boots full of excrement?
There's a bell attached to this post, accompanied by a sign that reads, "Ferry service, cancelled due to wind. Please ring for attention." Give it a tug.
Oi, shop! Come on! Some of us have got lives to lead, you know.
Alright, keep your stupid top hat on, mate.
Hurry up! We're not in France, you know. Let's have a bit of professional service. Fuck up, bust it. Here, hide it up your sweater, and if he asks, plead ignorance.
Bloody tourists. I was halfway through my ham and pickle buddy. Don't stand there gawping like a couple of Telegraph journalists presented with the idea of an unbiased press. Get aboard and try to look miserable. I'm contractually obligated to inform you that I am Cherub, the hooded ferryman for outer Hades with a sideline in second-hand electrical goods because the wages here are crap. I could do you a cheap rate on some rusty washing machines if you want.
Sharon's a girl's name.
Not Sharon, you blue-tits lardball. Sharon with a C. It's ancient and mythic, a bit like the jokes in this rubbish.
Fair enough. What's your brother called? Tracy with the silent P?
Now, Lawrence, there's no wrong with a bit of senior citizen androgyny. Obviously, Albert Steptoe here is a thoroughly modern metrosexual, by which I don't mean a flasher on the Parisian underground. Incidentally, Crichton, how's your dad, Priscilla, Queen of the Dark Desert?
Shut up, you disgusting cankle. Where's your tuppence?
Same place as yours, I suspect.
Just give me the damn fare, you overweight bolus of sputum. Doesn't have to be tuppence, mind. Any denomination will do. We haven't had a price rise here in over 5,000 years, so Deutschmarks, yen, or any other currency with an adequate exchange rate would be preferable.
Hypothetically speaking, what would happen if, by way of example, one of your passengers had left the wallet in the twatter and, purely for the sake of research, you understand, couldn't actually cough
Come here, Charlie Chaplin. Lean over them bulwarks. If you can accomplish that without the expected barrage of obvious innuendos, see them distended corpses, all rotten and bloated and draped in ragwood beneath the water? Well, that's what.
Fair enough. Pay the man-stroke-female chav, Polly.
With what? I spent the last of my change on that three-headed nodding dog in a souvenir store outside the Dread Portal, just before you shouted, "Bath time!" and Cerberus disappeared round the corner yelping.
Oh dear, my lovelies. It's corks in bumholes time. Prepare to die, you skinflint
I
sinners.
thought we already were dead.
Then prepare to die more inventively, with more screamings and bubbles and a barge hole and stuff.
One of the problems with David Cameron offering the great British public a referendum on their membership to the European Union is that he is trying his damnedest to change the European Constitution in favour of the Tory government and his tax-dodging billionaire associates before we actually get to vote. Should he succeed, the European Bill of Rights, protecting workers from exploitation, will be swept away in the changes. This leaves the voter with a choice to stay under the security of a European blanket with a reconstitutionalized right-wing dictatorship in power, or leave our European cousins and place Britain under its own self-serving right-wing dictatorship. Put simply, we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't, which coincidentally summed up Lawrence and Polly's predicament right at that moment.
Here, pack that in, you childish pair of mammoth testicles. Stop rocking the boat, you'll have us overboard.
Then get that barge pole out of my cleavage. I haven't experienced anything so uncomfortable since I got stuck in that lift with Cecil Parkinson.
Not to panic, Polly, me overstuffed beanbag. Fortunately, I've made contingency plans for just such situations. In my waistcoat pocket, I've got the twatter homing whistle. One blow and the twatter will come skidding to our rescue faster than Eric Pickles at a free lard sampling buffet.
Alright, 2 questions. 1, how come you've never mentioned this contraption before? And 2, why didn't you use it earlier on? Preferably before that demon, what looked like Joe Pasquale, stuck his pitchfork handle up the arse crack.
Both excellent questions, Polly, the old surgical stocking full of goose fat, but the answers will have to wait for another time if we're going to survive this adventure.
35 complicated seconds later.
Right, enough fannying about. Set the coordinates for the other side of the Pearly Gates, Polly, me middle-aged Sasquatch. This time we're going to confront God head-on, where I can give him a piece of me mind.
Which piece exactly? Not that it matters, because most of it's redundant anyhow.
You have been listening to the Lawrence Pendlebury Adventures, episode 5. What's happening? They are going way too fast. You'll have to roll them again, only this time slow. And sack that useless subtitles editor. You haven't been listening to the Lawrence Pendlebury Adventures, episode 5. Watchers in the Dark, starring the great Eccleston Choral Society as Beelzebub, James Judi Dench as Lawrence Pendlebury, Shakin' Stevens as Terence Sedgwick, and the ghost of Jimmy Clitheroe as everything else. The music was provided by the Fred Talbot Tabernacle Church Choir, and the sound effects generated by jumping up and down on the decomposing voice box Percy Edwards. Don't forget to tune in next time, Pendlebury Heads, for episode 6, The Revenge of the Man from Del Monte's Pet Orange.